How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, by Dale Carnegie. If life were an hourglass, as the sand flows evenly down through the narrow gap in the upper half, only one grain of sand can pass through at a time, just like our lives. No matter how much work we have or how busy things get, we can only do one thing at a time, slowly and steadily. If not, we risk harming our bodies or minds. However, in real life, we often cannot achieve the ideal of letting only one grain of sand flow through at a time, doing only one thing at a time. This leads to endless anxiety, making us unable to control ourselves or achieve our goals. We find ourselves trapped in an unbearable cycle, experiencing mental breakdowns and financial struggles. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, is filled with life wisdom. In this book, you will learn how worry can destroy our lives and how to stop worrying to embark on a new journey in life. Ted Benzeno, once a sergeant in the 94th Infantry Division, was tasked with establishing and maintaining a record of casualties and missing personnel during combat. He also had to help uncover soldiers who had been killed in fierce battles and hastily buried in graves, along with their personal belongings, and return those items to their families. However, the war left him constantly worried about whether he could endure it, especially the thought of possibly never seeing his 16-month-old son again. He felt both anxious and exhausted, losing a staggering 34 pounds, and he felt like he was on the brink of madness. Later, he was diagnosed with a condition called colonic spasm, which tortured him, and he felt completely broken. During his hospitalization, he was fortunate to receive some advice from a military doctor that completely changed his life. The doctor told him that his problems were entirely psychological. He said, "Ted, I want you to imagine your life as an hourglass. No one can let more than 2 grains of sand pass through that narrow gap unless they break the hourglass. Everyone, including you and me, is like this hourglass. There's a lot of work to do every morning that makes us feel like we have to finish it all in that day. But we can only do one thing at a time, letting them pass through the day slowly and evenly, or else we'll definitely harm ourselves physically or mentally." Ted Benzeno was deeply moved by the officer's words, and from that day on, he began to adhere to this philosophy, letting only one grain of sand flow through at a time, doing only one thing at a time. Anyone who violates this philosophy is always in constant anxiety, worrying about yesterday, today, and even tomorrow. In fact, the past is gone forever, and the future is unpredictable. No one can live in these two eternities, not even for a second. All we can grasp is the present, only today. Therefore, to rid oneself of anxiety, the first thing to understand is to learn to live completely in the present, to separate the past and future with an iron gate. Life is in living in the present, in every day and every moment. Don't always dream of a wonderful rose garden appearing on the horizon and forget to appreciate the roses blooming right outside your window today. In early June 1944, a young soldier serving in the 999th Signal Corps had just arrived in Normandy. He and other soldiers were lying in a foxhole near Omaha Beach. At around 11 p.m., German bombers began flying overhead, dropping bombs. He was petrified and couldn't sleep for 5 consecutive nights in such extreme circumstances, almost on the verge of a mental breakdown. Realizing this couldn't continue, he reminded himself, "It's been 5 nights, and we're all still alive and well in our group, with only 2 lightly wounded. And those injuries weren't caused by German bombs but by our own anti-aircraft fire." So the young man decided to do something constructive to alleviate his anxiety. He built a thick wooden roof in the foxhole to protect himself from shrapnel. After a series of calculations, he knew that only a direct hit by a bomb could possibly kill him in this deep and narrow foxhole. And the chances of a direct hit were probably less than 1 in 10,000. With this in mind, he finally calmed down. In the following days, even when enemy planes attacked, he could sleep soundly. People live in this world for only a few decades, and almost everyone has wasted a lot of time worrying, whether about big things or small things, and 99% of these events never actually happen. The main reason for being trapped in various troubles is confusion, a lack of necessary understanding of the truth of things, insufficient analysis of judgments, and decision-making abilities, leading people to be constantly troubled by various things, feeling anxious and worried. So what should one do to break free from anxiety and regain the joy of life? The father of applied psychology, Professor William James, once told his students, "You must dare to endure, because accepting the facts as they are is the first step to overcoming any misfortune that follows." When an event occurs, you need to ask yourself first, what is the worst possible outcome that could happen? Understanding it helps you see the truth of the matter, regain your sanity, and deal with the problem calmly. Otherwise, no matter how strong a person is, they will become emotionally agitated when worried, unable to find a solution in the chaos. Once you understand the worst-case scenario you might face, prepare yourself to accept it. Accepting the objective facts, we will gradually calm down, just like the soldier mentioned in the story above. Once he realized how low the chances were of being hit directly by a shell, he could calm down and seek solutions. The final step is to think soberly and rationally about how to improve the worst-case scenario. Every problem that arises must have a corresponding solution. Finding the best solution can ultimately help you overcome worry. On the slope of Long's Peak in Colorado lies the wreckage of a large tree, which has been around for over 400 years. When it sprouted, Columbus had just landed in America. It was only half its current size when the first immigrants arrived in the United States. Throughout its long life, it has been struck by lightning 14 times. Over the course of 400 years, it has weathered countless storms and yet stood strong. But in the end, a small team of beetles began attacking the tree. They gnawed from the roots inward, gradually sapping the tree's vitality with their small but relentless attacks until it fell to the ground. This forest giant, untouched by time, impervious to lightning, and unbroken by storms, was felled by a small group of beetles that could be crushed between thumb and forefinger. This is much like the various small, seemingly insignificant things that occur in our lives, which often trouble us. Year after year, we worry about these things, and persistent anxiety can ultimately break us, just like that majestic tree. So, if you truly want to enjoy life, try the following method, which typically eliminates 90% of our worries. 1. Literally write down what exactly you are worried about. 2. Write down what can be done about it. 3. Decide what to do. 4. Immediately implement the decision. This process will help you see the situation clearly and make it easier to find solutions to your problems. Once you no longer worry and attain a peaceful mindset, you will find that your family is happier, your relationships with friends are more harmonious, and you yourself are happier. Nothing is more important than these, right? Carnegie said that a peaceful mindset is in line with the right values, which means that if your way of interacting with others, your self-education, and your approach to life are positive and constructive, these personal standards can keep you away from the troubles of worry. Because when you stop blaming and complaining about others, you will eventually have sincere friends. When you stop nagging in marriage and learn to praise and encourage, you can fully enjoy the beauty of love and family life. When your eyes focus only on what you already have, you will experience immense satisfaction and happiness. Our past is like the sawdust left behind when sawing wood. Nobody bothers to saw those sawdust because it's meaningless. Let the past go, and at the same time, there's no need to always look at the vague things in the distance. We can't grasp the future either. Living in today is the most important. Focus on what's clear and real. Concentrate on what we can control right now. Only in this way can we stay away from worries and enjoy every minute of life. Congratulations on finishing another book. Keep it up.